Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me for a 50-minute wall yoga class. We will use a wall or other sturdy structure as a prop. You might want a few pillows and blankets nearby, but they're not necessary. And then you can have, either a yoga mat or a carpeted area or both. So we're just gonna start seated. You can sit crisscross applesauce or in Sukhasana with one foot in front of the other. And I encourage you just to allow yourself to lean against the wall. So let your head be on the wall, shoulders back on the wall. Feel your lower body on the floor. Sometimes in yoga, we'll lie on the floor in Savasana and we'll talk about letting the floor hold you up. But in this case, right, you can really let your whole body be held by the floor and by the wall. You're welcome to close your eyes. Closing your eyes is distracting. Maybe just a soft fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. So rather than, focusing on certain objects in your periphery, it's a soft gaze or eyes closed. You can place one hand over your heart space, one hand over your abdomen, and take a nice slow breath. Inhale through your nose. And exhale through your nose. And there's no fancy breathing exercise to start class. We're just allowing ourselves to rest against the wall. Just gently tuning into your breath, slow and steady through the nose. Feel your body rise and fall with every breath. With every exhale, just relax a little bit deeper. So we'll use the wall and the floor for support throughout class. On a physical level, using a wall or a floor in class is a great way to kind of stretch the body with some support. And maybe on a more metaphorical, emotional, psychological, spiritual level, right? It's also just nice to allow yourself to lean on something, especially in a time where many of us are isolated and in a culture that's really focuses on self-sufficiency, right? And individualism. It can be nice just to literally lean against something, just allow the space around you to hold you up. Breathing in and breathing out. If your hands are on your abdomen or heart, can place your hands on your knees, thighs, or on either side of the floor, on either side of your hips. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed for a while or open them. And we're just going to gently move the neck. So inhale, stretch the crown of your head up. And exhale, tilt your right ear towards right shoulder, stretching the left side neck. You can keep the back of your head and your shoulders against the wall. Another nice thing about using a wall behind you is that you can tell if you start to lean forward or back bend, right? Because you can notice what parts of your body are touching the wall and what parts aren't. So at first, we're just gently stretching the left side neck. As you're ready, roll your head down, chin to chest, let your head hang heavy. Notice if your shoulders start to come off the wall, bring the shoulders back and down. So it's just the neck moving. And then roll your left ear towards left shoulder, stretching the right side neck. Notice if you start to tilt to the left, evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. So it's really just the neck spine moving. Head against the wall, shoulders against the wall. Good. Slowly roll your head down again, chin to chest. Roll your head back up. And this time you are going to lean forward just a little bit. You can walk your hips forward so that you're not quite on the wall. And now relax your head back. Good. Coming back to center, looking forward, come scoot your hips back again against the wall. And this time, look over your right shoulder. So maybe you can press your right ear, right side profile of face against the wall. Notice if the left shoulder starts to come off, keep the left shoulder, left hip back. Good, slowly come back to center. Other side, look over left shoulder, maybe left ear to wall. Right shoulder, right hip stays back. Good, and then slowly come back to center. You're going to sweep your arms overhead. We can do the 26 and 2 grip, palms together, interlock fingers, release index fingers, cross thumbs, inhale, stretch up. Exhale, slowly bend to the right. Keep your left hip on the floor. So notice if the shoulders or arms start to come off the wall. Try to touch your back of the arms, your hands, your head, your shoulders, middle and lower back to the wall. Good, come on up. Other side, tilt towards the left, stretching right side body, head and arms back. Lift the chest, drop the shoulders, squeeze the palms. Flatten the palms, straighten the wrists. Good, come back to center and slowly bring your arms down, sliding the arms down the wall. We're going to come into all fours in a tabletop position. We're going to cat-cow, but I'll show you what it looks like from the side. You're going to tuck your toes under so that the soles of your feet are back against the wall. It's a gentle Achilles stretch. Okay, so wrists under shoulders, spread your fingers wide, inhale through your nose. And as you exhale through your nose, pull your abdomen in, round your spine like a cat, meow. On your next inhale, move your abdomen down, lift your hips and chest up, look back, look up, cow pose. So showing you from the side. Exhale into your cat pose. Inhale into your cat. Shoulders back, chest forward, look up, move your hips up. Last round. Cat, meow. Push the floor away from you. And when you're ready, cow pose, move. Move the chest forward, squeeze shoulders together, root down through the knuckles. Good, and then come back into a neutral position. You're gonna come off the wall, untuck your toes, and then find yourself seated you're gonna face, let's see, I'm gonna face the right so that my right hip is close to the wall. I'll encourage you to do the same thing. So you're sitting facing one side of the wall. So right hip towards the wall. And you wanna be far enough away that you could like high five the wall. From here, you're gonna bring your hand back. So arm straight, palm behind you. Lift your arm up a bit so that your elbow can be in line with your gaze. So if you look back, you can see the elbow. From here, you're going to take your left hand behind you like a second spine, and then just start to look over your left shoulder, and you'll feel a nice opening to the right shoulder, right chest, never a point of pain. So I'm kind of leaning forward here. I'm going to lean back a little bit, encourage you to do the same as you look over the left shoulder. So later we'll get into postures where we like kick our feet up on the wall. But as a reminder, there's like lots of crafty ways to use a wall in your yoga practice, even when you're experimenting with like arm balances and stuff like that, which we won't do today, but there's lots of uses for a wall. It's not just lifting your legs up, although we will certainly get to that. Good, slowly unwind, looking forward. Take your right arm back, lower the right hand down. And we're going to turn and do the other side. So this time left hip facing towards the wall, sitting a foot or so away from the wall. You're going to high five the wall, move your hand back. So you're already feeling that shoulder stretch. Bend the arm, move the hand up a little bit. So I'm going to come a little closer to the wall here. From here, take your right hand close behind you. And as you're ready, look back and twist. Really working into the shoulder, at least for me it is. back and twist. Good, and as you're ready, slowly unwind. Take that left arm back, lower the left arm down. We're gonna come onto our abdomen. We're gonna do a fun version of Sphinx pose. So you're gonna kick your feet up like you're at a sleepover and then walk your body back so that your shins are against the wall. So from the side, it would look like this. Shins against the wall. You can bend your elbows here. Roll the shoulders back and down. Let your feet relax against the wall. And then just lengthen through the neck spine. And we'll only hold here for a few breaths, just a nice back bend. Shoulders down, chest up. Good. As you're ready, slowly lower down, bend your elbows out. You can look to the right, left ear on your mat. Take a slow inhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs expand. And a slow exhale through your nose, let your shoulders fall. As you're ready, lift your head and look to the other side. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. As you're ready, you're going to look forward and make your way onto your back. A lot of the transitions in wall yoga classes I find are not very graceful, just so you know. So roll onto your back, whatever way feels good for you. And we're going to take a moment just lying on our backs in a savasana. So you can open your arms and legs as much as you want. So at the beginning of class, right, we rested against the wall and the floor. And now for a moment, we're really just letting everything lie flat on the floor before we kick our feet up. So your spine growing a little longer, and a little bit more supple at the same time, right? So really just trusting that the floor is there to hold you up. One thing I found, especially in the last year, is even when I think I'm relaxed, if I really think about it, I notice that like I'm still carrying tension in like my abdomen or my arms or my legs. Like I'll tell my body to relax, but there's still a little bit of tightness there. I think Savasana is just the best, right? Just for knowing that it's safe to unclench a little bit, to relax and be still. So notice here where you might still be holding on to some tension in your body. Just give your body permission to relax completely. Okay, we're going to start to scoot towards the wall, facing the wall. So I have my left hip towards the wall, but it doesn't really matter which side you're facing. You're going to bend your legs if they're not already. You're going to start to kick your feet up. And again, there's no pretty way to do it, but eventually you're going to face your butt to the wall so that your feet are up the wall, hips close to the wall, arms down by your side. Okay. So this is a great posture. It stretches the backs of the legs. It's good for sciatic nerve pain. And it's also really good for lowering blood pressure, right? Like the feet are higher than the heart. So you get a nice rush of blood or a nice flow of blood towards the center line of your body. This posture is good for like anxiety. Obviously, it's, doing this posture is not the same as like seeing a therapist or a doctor for, for sciatic pain or for anxiety. But I do have several friends who anecdotally will share that like this is the posture that they use when they're feeling a little bit anxious. So we're just going to hang out here for a minute. So really let your head and hands be heavy. You're also lengthening through this whole spine here. So notice what parts of your back aren't touching the floor. See if you can relax just a little deeper. Okay, we're going to go into our first long held posture, which is a butterfly pose. You're going to start to bring the soles of your feet together, bend your knees out. You can walk your hips closer to the wall or further away. And as you're ready, you're just going to let the heels come towards your groin and the knees press out to the side. Sometimes I like to have pillows on either side of my legs so that there's a little support for the knees. And from here, we're just going to hold here for 3 minutes. If you need to add pillows or remove pillows, that was a great time. Realized I forgot my timer. Okay. So this is a great hip opener. It's a nice inner thigh stretch. And the other cool thing about having your feet up, right, there's different versions of this posture where you might be seated or laying down. The other cool thing about having your feet up is that gravity will draw your heels and knees down towards the floor. You're always welcome to have your hands like on your knees, thighs, and press back a little bit if that feels good. You can have your arms out to the side in a big expansive gesture, or maybe one hand over your heart, one hand over your abdomen, whatever is calling to you today. Try to relax your pelvic floor. Let your abdomen be heavy. Maybe once again, check in and notice if there's parts of your spine that are like way lifted. Try to lengthen through the spine as you open through the hips and inner thighs. Sometimes in long holds of postures, especially in moments of silence, the mind can start to wander. Notice if the mind is wandering and just compassionately, gently return yourself back to your breath, back to your body. We often store tension and emotion in the hips. So when we do hip openers like this, it can release some of that, right? So if anytime in yoga, but especially in hip openers, if you ever start to feel a certain emotion arise or just some sort of other involuntary nervous system response, know that that's normal. One of the great joys of a home yoga practice right on Zoom is like, you know, if you want to cry right now, right, you can cry. Nobody's there to hear you. Or if you want to laugh or whatever it is, if you need to take a break, there's nobody here to judge you. Okay, so dig into that, just your own personal yoga practice. All you have to do is breathe. Holding here for 1 more minute. As you're ready, you're going to start to slide your feet back up the wall. No rush. Tilt. Let your pelvis internally rotate again so that the backs of your legs are against the wall. Legs long. We're just going to hold here for a moment and breathe. You can set aside any pillows that you were using. And again, there's no cute way to do this, but you're going to bring your legs off the wall. I like to roll to one side. And then find your way on your back in Savasana. You have your arms and legs down. You might feel a certain rush of blood to a part of your body after that hip opener, and also just after bringing your feet back down. I feel an immediate rush of blood towards my tailbone and now towards the toes. If lying on your back with your legs straight does not feel good to you, you're welcome to place a small blanket or pillow underneath your lower back. You can also bend your knees so that your feet are on the floor and your knees rest side by side. The more that I've taught this class, the more that I've realized too much legs up the wall is too much is too much. So we'll return to these Savasanas in between postures. And again, this is also a nice way to kind of play around with blood flow, right? You have a lot of blood that goes towards your heart when the feet are up the wall, which again is really great for lowering blood pressure, anxiety. And when we lie back down, you get a nice rush of blood back to the toes. As you're ready, you're going to bend your legs, roll off to one side. Place your hands on the floor and gently press yourself up into a seated position. You're going to come back, leaning against the wall again, so your butt is back up against the wall. You can have your legs long in front of you. You're welcome to place some pillows or blankets in between your thighs and chest. Move your hips back so that your butt is still against the wall, and you're just going to fold forward. You can drop your head, let your head hang heavy, or you can keep your back flat, neck long with your hands in front of you. This is just a nice counter forward fold. We're going to hold here for 2 minutes. With the feet close together, it's also a great stretch to the backs of the legs. Doesn't have to be the most intense stretch of all time. With about 30 seconds left, see if you can relax just a little bit deeper, maybe letting go of some of the tension along the back of the body. As you're ready, look forward, slowly press yourself up. Can remove the pillows if you're using them. Turn, lie on your back into your Savasana or puddle pose. Okay, as you're ready, you're gonna scooch on close to the wall in whatever way feels right for you. Kick your feet up, slide so that your legs are up the wall. And we're gonna do a figure 4 pose. So once the legs are nice and long, I'm gonna invite you to bend your knees so that the soles of your feet are against the wall. You're welcome to come a little bit further away from the wall too, if this helps. From here, you're gonna cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. And again, walking yourself a little bit further away from the wall might make that easier. And from here, you can keep your left leg as long as you want, or you can bend the knee even more so that one day your left ankle is in line with left knee, right? Pulling the thighs in towards the abdomen. Try to keep 2 shoulders and hips on the floor. Taking me a minute to find a good spot here because my carpet is a little awkward. And then once you're in a comfortable position, we're gonna hold here for 4 minutes. So figure 4, probably done different versions of this with me. Sometimes having that left foot against the wall is a nice way to kind of relax that foot. And this is a good stretch for the outer right hip, right side seat. It's a good stretch for sciatica. All these legs up the wall postures good for sciatica. And you're just gonna hold and breathe. Notice where you might be holding on to tension or forcing your way into the posture. See if you can just relax into the posture instead. Sometimes in yoga, we contract muscles to get into a posture. Right here, you want to see if you can relax muscles instead. Sometimes it can help to do like a compassionate body scan. When you notice that you're holding tension somewhere, just compassionately, gently breathe into that area, giving the body permission to relax. Remember that the floor is holding you up, the wall is holding you up, right? Gravity's helping out with the posture. You don't have to force it. About 1 minute left, just holding as you breathe. Sometimes at the end of long held postures, they can get a little uncomfortable. You're just finding that edge of the comfort zone where you're not gritting your teeth or holding your breath. Right? But also just being okay with maybe a little bit of discomfort, not pain. Just breathing here. As you're ready, you're going to slide your left foot up the wall. Uncross your right foot on the wall. You're going to bring your arms out to the side in a big expansive gesture, palms face up. Bend your knees, hug your thighs in towards your abdomen, and start to roll to the right so that your left hip stacks on top of right hip. We're going into a spine twist. So left hip on top of right hip, left knee on top of right knee. Can have the soles of your feet resting against the wall if that feels good, or off the wall. Try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. And if you'd like, you can look over your left shoulder. We're going to hold here for 2 minutes. This is a nice spine twist, abdominal wall twist as well. You might feel it in the hips or the side seats. Really want to normalize that different postures affect different bodies, and also different postures affect us differently depending on the day, the season, how we slept, right? So sometimes you might hear a teacher describe like, you will feel this in your hip, but if you feel it in your knee, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, right? It just means like that you and the teacher have different physiologies, different life stories. And so the posture might feel different. Now, if something doesn't feel right, if it hurts, that's one thing. But if you feel a stretch in a certain part of your body that you don't hear described by a yoga teacher, there's nothing wrong with that, just as long as you're honoring yourself, right? Always listening to your body. If you're looking over your left shoulder, gently roll your head back to center. Sometimes I actually like to place my hands on these thighs to help come out. As you're ready, you're going to roll your left hip down to the floor. I'm going to encourage you to maybe grab your knees or the backs of your thighs, or even interlace your fingers. Squeeze here, pulling down. And again, and then in whatever way feels good to you, maybe rolling off to one side, moving your body, you're going to find your way onto your back, into your savasana. Arms and legs down. And again, just notice what sensations you might feel in your physical body, your emotional, psychological, spiritual body as you release from the wall onto the floor. And it could be a change in temperature. It could be a shift in emotion or consciousness, or a certain memory or idea pops up. All of these are normal, especially when we become a little bit more in tune with ourselves. Okay, once again, coming back towards the wall. Kick your feet up. And we're going to do the other side of that sequence. So starting with figure 4, this time cross your left ankle shin over your right thigh. You can keep your right leg long or bend the right knee, starting to press the back of the right foot against the wall. The more you hug your thighs in towards your abdomen, right, the deeper you will feel that stretch on the left hip, left side seat, again, left sciatic nerves, really good for stretching that out. Do with your hands what feels right. Again, out to the side, down by your side, maybe one hand over your heart or abdomen. And we're going to hold here for 4 minutes. This side might feel different from the other side, and that's okay. We're not symmetrical. You know, when we consistently do 2 sides of the posture with equal, intensity and intention, often over time we will become more symmetrical. But that's really a byproduct, right, of your yoga practice. The true goal of yoga is self-realization and even God realization, right? Getting to know yourself better and maybe even a higher self or a higher power better. But again, the byproduct is that we start to stretch, we start to strengthen, get a little bit more balanced, right? I often say people come to yoga for the physical benefits, but I think most of us, or at least I personally, stay for like the, like the emotional, psychological benefits, right? If I don't practice yoga for a week, sure, I feel it in my body, but like I really feel it in my heart or in my mind. And I find I'm like a little less patient, a little bit quicker to snap at people, right? You come because it feels good to the body or you're healing an injury in the body, but you stay because you realize like what a lovely practice to come back to yourself every time you step onto your yoga mats. One of my yoga students, her brother is also like a really big yoga person, and they both really like hot yoga, 26 and 2 yoga. And she said that they had, at least prior to the pandemic, a family rule that anywhere that they went on a family vacation had to be close to a 26 and 2 yoga studio, because otherwise her and her brother would just kind of go kind of crazy by the end of it and not be nice to each other. So the family realized that they all needed to be near a yoga studio to practice. I enjoy that very much. Towards the end, just relaxing a little deeper, letting go. So you're ready, you're going to start to slide your right foot up the wall, lengthening the right leg. No rush. Uncross your left leg, both legs up the wall. Bring your arms out to the side in a nice big expansive gesture, palms facing up. Bend your knees, both knees, and roll to the left. So right hip stacks on top of left hip, right knee on top of left knee. And depending on where you are in relationship to the wall, you might have the soles of your feet against the wall. Try to keep your right shoulder down. And have the back of your head on the floor or look to the right ear towards the mat for a deeper spine twist, abdominal wall twists, holding here for 2 minutes. Okay, if you're looking over your right shoulder, gently roll your head back to center. Again, I'm going to place my hands on these thighs, roll your right hip back down. So both hips and shoulders are on the floor. Again, maybe clasp hands or grab knees or the backs of the thighs, pull down. Give yourself a nice big squeeze here. And then release, make your way onto your back into Savasana. Okay, making your way back up against the wall. So earlier we did butterfly pose with the feet together and the knees coming apart. Now we're gonna do a deeper hip and inner thigh stretch. So once your legs are up the wall, you're just gonna let both feet go out to the side, but the legs stay long. I, again, like to have some pillows or blankets kind of underneath my thighs so that for me, I have actually quite flexible hips, some like one might say overly flexible hips. And so my legs will drop too much and then it's not pleasant the next day. So I will purposely put some sort of like pillow or blanket underneath my knees so that my legs don't drop too far. Then we're gonna hold and breathe here for 2 more minutes. So a really nice way to stretch out the inner thighs. A little earlier in class, right, we sat up with our feet together and then folded forward. Anytime the legs are together, right, that stretches the hamstrings. Anytime the legs are apart, stretches the inner thighs. And this is the hip opener, and we're really just using gravity and the wall for support. There's plenty of versions of this posture where you're seated or standing, but this is a fun one, again, where you're getting blood flow towards your groin, towards your heart, right? So you stretch out the legs, the inner legs. Notice where you might be holding onto some tension. Just let it go. Okay, as you're ready, I like to place my hands on my outer thighs, knees. You're going to slowly slide your feet back up the wall. Take a moment here, bend your knees, give yourself another squeeze, a nice hug, letting the feet come down for a second. And then lift your feet back up. This is our finale, our final long held legs up the wall pose. If you'd like, you can scooch further away from the wall so that your legs are more at like a 45-degree angle than a 90-degree angle, right? You can put extra pillows or blankets under your thighs, under your head, under your lower back. You can have your arms down by your side or out in a big expansive gesture. I invite you just to lie here and enjoy. Literally kicking your feet up. All you have to do is breathe. Even though yoga is a 2000 plus year old philosophy, right, an 8-limbed system, a lot of the yoga postures that we practice are actually fairly new, like they've been created within the last 100 or 200 years. Not all of them. Some yoga postures are very old, but a lot of them are new, or the versions that we do are not that old. But this is a posture that's actually like quite ancient, and there's lots of depictions of it like in art, in ancient like Hindu art out of the Indus Valley, that area. So I like this idea, especially when I practice a posture that I know has been practiced for like hundreds, if not thousands of years. I like this idea really of reconnecting to all of the yogis who came before us, right? And the yogis who will come after us. And I like to think about, how many people around the world, right, are also probably practicing this posture right now. So again, especially in kind of an isolated time period in a culture where we can be very individualistic, practicing yoga is a wonderful way to really feel connected, not just to the people around you, people around the world, but people from different time periods, right, and eras and cultures. And remember that you're part of something a little bit bigger than yourself. You can inhale through your nose, feel your chest rise. Exhale through your nose, feel your shoulders fall. Breathe in. Breathe out. You are so very alive. You're welcome to stay in legs up the wall pose for as long as you'd like. Some people practice this for like 10, 15 minutes at a time. The longer you stay in it, the more careful you want to be when coming out of it, right? So whenever you're ready, I'm just going to model what it looks like to roll to one side. Maybe lie in Savasana for a moment, right? Letting that blood that was in the heart kind of rush down towards the tailbone, towards the feet. When it is time to get up, I recommend sitting for a while before you stand. And then once you've been sitting for a while at your own pace, you can stand up and drink water, but make sure that you're taking that transition from feet up to standing. It's very slow. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Hope to see you all soon. Bye, friends.